Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's go. We got a great guest episode coming your way with my man, Hussein Al-Baiaty. What's up,
What's up?
Hussein?
What's
Welcome to the
up?
show.
Yeah, man. Good to be here, man. I'm super excited for this.
Awesome, dude. Well, look, I want to jump right into this stuff. I love just getting to know our guests and giving our listeners a little bit of excitement. So, fill us in a little bit about who you are, what you got going on, and let's take it from there.
Yeah. So my name is Hussein Al-Baiaty, like my man Jake just said. And I basically, man, let's go rewind all the way back. I come from the Middle East. I'm from Iraq, from the motherland, Iraq. And unfortunately, after the Gulf War, my parents and my family ended up in a refugee camp. And we were stuck there for about 4 years. But my life took a turn because my father was an incredible artist who fed me not only wisdom and knowledge about my life and heritage, just an incredible person overall. Helped us come out of that refugee camp, believe it or not, with his art. And we ended up coming to America. Man, I was about 8 years old. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, which was a life-changing experience. I mean, literally from the desert to going to like where people were feeding like water to grass. I'm like, what is happening here? It was an incredible experience. Very grateful that I got the opportunity to come to America, grow up here, learn the language, learn the culture, and infuse my own culture, my own way of living and thinking, and all that good stuff, and make a way for myself. And entrepreneurship became a thing that I did. I went to college at Portland State University. I got an architecture degree, a graphic design degree, a business minor. Believe it, I was in school forever, it feels like. But what the funny thing is, I didn't do any of that after I graduated. I kind of just started an apparel printing business, which I grew from a basement in a barbershop all the way to like $1 million company that I eventually sold in 2020. We started working with all the big wigs, Nike, Adidas, all those amazing, incredible people. And, I've just had a blessing of a life, man. I live every day just for the day. And I'm just insanely grateful to have turned sort of my path into publishing and the publishing industry because I got to write my book. And really, it was my father's book that I really wanted to write because his incredible journey, how he got us out of that refugee camp was just, every time I think about it, I'm like, that was incredible. So, art has a huge influence in my life, but embedded with art is resilience and the ability to kind of keep getting back up because life has knocked me down. I'm sure a lot of you down. And so, yeah, I infuse all those things together. I have a really optimistic view on life. And now I get to help. Not only did I write my book and all that good stuff, get it published, there was a big dip in how I saw marketing because I used marketing to grow my apparel business. I had to kind of switch it up and grow my authorship and my speaking and all that good stuff. So, I saw the void, worked with an amazing company called Scribe, and I just started helping authors sort of really tune in on how they can market themselves and use their books to market them. And so that's where I'm at now. That's what I do with rising authors. And yeah, I was kind of long-winded, but that was kind of a big spiel. And that's why we're here, man, because I love connecting with people and just sharing my wisdom. So,
Yeah, dude. No, this is great. This is great. And it's funny. One of my first businesses that I started in college was a apparel business.
hell yeah.
My
Hell
dad
yeah.
runs an apparel business, has for
Oh,
the
that's
past
so
30
cool.
years. So
Wow.
like I love the game. I was always the gear guy. When I played
Yes.
basketball, I wanted the gear. When I worked with some of the NBA
Yes.
guys, I was like, give me the gear. Like I love the gear stuff. So
I love it. This
I
is great.
like that, man. So, look,
Yeah.
a big part of your life has been culture, art, resilience, change, growth, evolution. And the most recent evolution is you really focusing on helping authors grow their brand, right? You're an author, you've helped authors. And so I want to start at the most basic question that isn't the simplest to answer,
Mm.
which is when somebody is becoming an author, when should they start building their author brand? Before the
Mm.
book's launched, when the book's launched, post book launch?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I get that a lot, and I think for me personally, from my perspective, I think it's a fusion between your idea for the book and how you intend to get it out there. right? And I think it starts there. It's a seed in there, and you got to plant and get ready for that garden to grow, but you got to plant that seed early. The earlier, the better. I would say even before the idea, you got to think about who you want to reach, right? Who you want to talk to. And I think even with a memoir, you know, my story is basically, my book is basically memoir slash a little bit self-help, right? But really, even with that, you know, I knew exactly what I was going to use my book for, which was to enhance my speaking game, get in front of universities, get in front of leadership opportunities, and position myself and my book in front of people who are going to hire me to speak. That was the basics of it all, right? And you know, I accomplished that because that was at the root of the beginning. And so how I went about doing it, you know, I'll share a little bit later, and how I created an event around it and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would say the sooner you can start thinking about who this is for, because the word marketing is so honestly vague, right? It's so vague. So, but to simplify it, is like, who is this for? What is this for? You know, who is the best person to read this? Who will be inspired by this? Who will hire you from it? So once you start thinking about who this is for, it doesn't mean it's going to change what the book is about or anything. Now you just have an idea of where this book is going to land, right? And so that's where I always start. And I always say, the sooner you can think about that, the better. It doesn't mean that it's like, even if you published and now you start to think about it, that's fine. You know, because a book has a long shelf life, as you can tell, right? Like some of our favorite books have been around for thousands of years. You know what I mean? So it's a long shelf life. But in order for the book to really start walking and running for you, you got to get it to crawl, you know, and I think that's the beginning of planting the idea.
Oh, dude, I love kind of how you broke that down, because I think sometimes we think, oh, I don't have the book yet, I can wait to talk about it, right? And I think one of the biggest opportunities, and every situation is a little different, because some people are writing a book before they're allowed to start the next phase of their journey. Some people are writing a book and like want to make sure they finish it before, like everyone's got their own reason. But if you are using a book to grow your business and you're open to talking about it, I encourage people to start talking about it the day they commit to writing the book.
Literally, the day.
Because that starts to get people aware. People start to follow the journey. People get excited. And by the time you're done, you have tons of buyers lined up. You have people that have heard about it, waiting to support you, asking how they could support you. And so I like how you kind of said, well, who is this for, right? And so let's talk about some of the things that we can do to really like grow this author brand, okay? Let's say we know who the book's for. We write the book's done, we're getting ready for launch, or the book's already launched, like whatever time frame is good. What are some of the steps that you recommend people taking? And is there an order in which you encourage them to do so to get the book out to the people the book was originally written for?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my coaching and in my sort of course that I do, what I get people to think about in the first like sort of couple of weeks, and what we really dive into is, what is your offer? Really, what is all this for? Like, let's say you have hundreds of thousands of followers, and you know, you have the books and you have videos. What is it for? What does it mean to you? Right. And for a lot of people, it's to grow their business or to grow their personal brand and all that. Say, okay, cool. So let's say you want to speak from all of this, right? You want to just get booked to speak on a regular basis. I say, cool, let's go take a look at your online presence. What does that look like? Because here's the reality. The first thing I'm going to do when I'm hiring someone to do just about anything, like a plumber, dude, I needed a plumber like a couple weeks ago, right? I was looking for the guy that had the best reviews, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's in the community, he's well known, and I made sure I got like a referral, right? Because that's the thing about, you got to be human about this. Today, we are human, but how can you show that humanity online? Can you be the person that comes off as human as possible online? So, you know, those reviews matter, your website. Bro, I can't express to people how important an amazing website is. Like, it is the most crucial element personally. And I think if you can embed an awesome offer, a simple idea, you know, of like, this is what I do, this is who it's for, and this is why I do it, right? Not in any specific order, but if your website can hone those kinds of things and you can show social proof, reviews, videos, blogs, all that stuff lives in one place. Now I don't have to go around looking for you in different areas, right? Now, if I want to go check you out on LinkedIn, if I want to check you out on YouTube, all that stuff is populated. And I just see all of those things just add credibility to your website and who you are. And so all of those things play together. And so my thing is like, you know, how do you create a flywheel? How do you start with one thing, which is your website? Let's make that amazing, because that's where a lot of people are going to land, right? And then now all this other things are going to work for your website to get you the credibility and authority, so that when people go to hire you or to make that move or contact you, it's a super simple. It's the easiest thing. It's easy as like texting you, right? And so when that happens, what then happens, right? Like, what kind of, are you, you know, responding quickly? Are you messaging back quickly? Are you, you know, all of those things are to consider. And so that's where I would start. So whatever phase you're in, really, during, before, after, whatever, it's just like, what's your offer? That's number one. Where does that offer live? Your website, right? Like, really. Number two. Number three is, what's your content strategy? How does what you talk about on a regular basis feed back into this idea? And those three elements play together to really harness the energy of connection. And so that's what I give.
Yeah, so it's really interesting here, because you talk about the website. Now, a lot of people that are writing books, and look, there's millions of books written all the time, right? But let's say that we're looking at somebody who's maybe an executive or somebody who's an entrepreneur, and they're using the book to kind of enhance their existing business or use their book to start a new business, right? Maybe they're leaving the corporate world and want to do more speaking. Maybe they are like, you know what, it's time to level my shit up. And a book is that like amplifier. It's that like shortcut. But then they go to make their website. What are some of the things that you recommend author websites need to have so that it can start to build that ecosystem and that credibility?
Yeah, I call it the rule of 10 seconds, right? So our attention span is not short, it is fine-tuned, right? Because now there's so much clutter, we want to get clear and concise. So I say off the bat, as soon as somebody lands on your website, what's the first thing they read? Because, you know, your blog, all that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't. You know, what's the first sentence they read, right? It's got to address their problem. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't think about. Whose problem are you solving, right? And so if I'm a speaker, what am I speaking on? You know what I mean? If I'm a coach, what am I coaching on? And really in that sentence, you should be able to hint at the problem that prospect, that person came there to see if you can solve, right? So for example, I'm working with an amazing person. She's incredible. She works with universities, does a lot of talks with universities, very sought after. That's great, but she didn't even have a landing page for a website, right? So the first thing we had to tie down was that first, 7 to 8 word sentence to capture the essence of who she is, what she does, and who it's for, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like the go-to, university speaker, the go-to TEDx university speaker, right? Like it's just got to resonate with who it's for. So if I'm a person that books this person to speak, then I need to see my problem in your solution, right? And so that the first sentence, that first landing page, that first picture can really do a lot. And then as they scroll down, immediately you need social proof. So whether it's a review, I mean, this amazing woman has Yo-Yo Ma, like as a foreign, like use that, put that in there because Yo-Yo Ma's huge. So you want to be associated with that, right? And the next thing is, I say the power of 3, of course. The first 2 things, though, you want to start immediately with the pain. So I always address the pain that whoever's visiting my website is seeing right away. And it's usually, if you can capture that in a few sentences, great. Then you go from the pain to the solution, what you do, what you offer, how you do it, why you do it, all that good stuff. And then it's a little bit about you, more, reviews, what other people are saying about you, videos, all that stuff. It's just added on layer. If you can get them to kind of scroll past those first 5-10 seconds, you're on the money. But that first moment how do you get them to capture that attention and really suck them in and say, okay, I'm your guy, I'm your woman, I'm your person to handle the problem that you're having.
As you're talking about this, man, it takes me back. So I wrote my first book at 23 years old. I leave the Lakers, Kobe retires, I retire, and I'm like, I'm an author. After that, though, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right?
Yeah.
I just knew I wanted to start speaking. And as you're talking about this, like my speaking career, now that I think about it, grew as my brand online appeared. Okay. And so when I made my website, the first thing I wanted to do was I needed an example of me speaking, proof. I needed, where else have I spoken? Proof. I needed testimonials from people who have heard me speak, proof, right? Eventually my website, the initial thing for me, the above the fold for me, I had a picture of me in a filled up auditorium with thousands of people, right? Yes. Okay, he's done it. He's legit. You can't fake that, right? I mean, you could, but that would be a real douche move, right? And then I had on there for me at the time, and I still think I have this on my personal site actually, was a testimonial I got from an assistant coach at a university that said Jake Kelfer is the Steph Curry of speaking.
Oof, perfect.
And what that did was, I have a sports background. Sports plays into my speaking. Sports was a big part of my first book, and even my second book. Like I use a lot of sports stories.
Sure.
Well, that made a lot of sense. And so I really want to share this example of what I kind of did. And as you're saying it, I'm like, I understand why, right? And so for anybody that's out here who's got this book, right, has the desire to speak, you want to use the materials you have, use the experience you have to position yourself to be able to leverage the things you've already done to create the future you aim to have, right? And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah. And so I was saying, I want to know, man, like, you said a few things that were really, really great. But one of the things I'd love to know is, beyond the website, we have the social media world. Mm-hmm. And this can be huge for people. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite site to use for business growth for nonfiction authors who want to grow their business?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I want to say, whether it's a website, your online strategy, wherever you're going to show up, it's not about you. So stop being selfish and holding back your wisdom. Your wisdom is to be shared with the planet. And that is something my father has deeply ingrained in who I am, right? If you look at Middle Eastern heritage, Middle Eastern, philosophy, really deep, like golden age stuff, we're talking about extreme sharing, translating and sharing of information, which is where we got algebra, chemistry, all the beautiful things that we now use, right? And so with that mindset, it's not about me. My goal is I get to be the carrier of this experience. However, I get to also choose creatively how to share it, right? And so with platforms, before all these platforms, it was radio and TV and all these things, right? Great. Now that we have these platforms that I have direct access to people, how do I want to show up? A lot of people have that fear. So once you have your website, once you have your offer, once you have all those things dialed, then it's like, how do you get people to get here, right? How do you get people to see this? Well, we have an amazing opportunity now. We're literally on the internet. We can connect with just about anybody. If you can just reframe your fear, I call it my garden warrior. My internal fears are my garden warriors, and they are always kind of outlined with anything that I'm like, oh, that's questionable. That's where I should be leaning, right? And it's because when I started showing up on LinkedIn, so I literally stopped showing up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, because I realized that's not who I want to speak to, right? And that's not who's going to hire me to speak, right? Because who I want to reach is very important, and how will they find me is even more important. So it's not just about being on a professional website. It's really about showing that I care and I have wisdom and I want to creatively express it in this way. And I'm going to be authentic in this way. What does authenticity mean? Just be real. Just be yourself. I talk like this. I write like this. You know what I mean? I'm just who I am. So I chose LinkedIn and YouTube because I felt like YouTube is another platform. It's the deadlift of all social media, because if you show up on YouTube and you're really yourself and you're just talking to the camera like this, it just adds to the credibility. It adds to the authenticity, right? And I can take some of those videos and put them on LinkedIn, which again quadruples that ability, right? So I just try to see how I can leverage one thing and make it into multiple things. So then I use my blog. Literally, my blog is like my LinkedIn post and my newsletter, right? So I take all these tools and say, okay, now I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a way for me to it's like distribution, right? So I look at this distribution channel and say, okay, who do I want to distribute this to? So if I had a little kid ride a bike and send out a newsletter, every day, like a little page, what's that neighborhood look like? So the neighborhood for me is authors and people who work in the publishing industry. Why? Because if I'm helping authors, market their books, who I want to talk to, that community, right? So the more often I show up with a piece of wisdom, a piece of knowledge, even if it's repetitive, even if I repeated it from a couple weeks ago, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to see my post. It doesn't mean that everybody's now bored or irritated or whatever and annoyed. And if people are, you can unfollow. It's all good. You know what I mean? So I choose LinkedIn specifically to try to grow. And look, it's not about your followers or how many likes. It's just show up every day. Just show up every day. It's just practice. I just look at all of this as practice and experimentation. And so when I chose LinkedIn, when I chose YouTube, it was very strategic. It's part of my ethos, right? And so LinkedIn is a beautiful place because once I enhance, optimize sort of my page and all that stuff, I started seeing results. It's how you and I connected, right? It's how I choose to connect with people because I choose to see it optimistically. Some people are so fearful of like, oh, what if I look stupid? What if I'm annoying people? What if, I'm like, you're being selfish. You're just thinking about you and how you feel. What if you shared something that's amazing that makes 10 people feel amazing about what they're doing? That's more powerful than how I feel, right? And in return, that actually makes me feel really good that someone uses my post can now do something with it or makes them feel a certain way in a positive. So my whole thing is, whether I'm speaking, whether I'm writing, or whether I'm connecting with people, my goal is, did I leave a memorable experience? Can I create a memorable experience? What does that look like? So as a creative, that's the only thing I think about because people will never remember what you said. They'll always remember how you make them feel. So if I can make somebody feel a certain way in my posts, that's what I'm going to go do.
I love it. I love it. I like how you kind of come full circle, man. Like, when you're talking about this, what you've really done in this episode and this interview is you've really broken it down, right? Okay, we have a book. We're now in a different limelight. Okay, we have the website. We have who this book's for. We have our offer. We have the distribution. All right, it builds on top of each other. And so something that you like to say, and this kind of will be one of our final topic though, is you have the community of what you do, but then you have your community of people. Who you support, who you collaborate with, who you connect with. And you've built up a great community in Rising Authors. So talk to me a little bit about, in the audience, a little bit about what Rising Authors is and kind of how you actually operate with people, helping them build their author brand.
Yeah. So earlier this year, I remember my dad. So my father, I mentioned my dad a lot. My mom, definitely did her job too. But my dad used to always talk about community, like the people, man. And God bless his soul. He died in 2016. He inspired me so much. And it's why I actually got out of the apparel printing business, because I didn't want to build a company. I wanted to be an artist. And I truly feel like I'm an artist today. And I just need a community to share my art with. Right. And so, but that community also has other needs, and their needs are actually connections. And who, like, again, back to the plumber idea or the electrician or whatever, right? It's like, who's in this community, right? What can they do for me and what can I do for them? So in May, when I suddenly got laid off, I realized, again, I don't want to start another company. I just want to start a community, and let me build a community of people and like get away from this idea that, yes, there's competition. There's plenty of publishing companies and, independent and, all this stuff, right? I'm like, that's cool. I'm not trying to compete with any of that. That's too much. I just want to be an artist, but I want to contribute, and I want other people to contribute to my life as well. So what does that look like? And I was like, well, how does it look online? Because now we're in this world, we're this, right? Well, for me, I was a community manager at Scribe for almost 3.5 years, right? And so I was like, I'm going to take that model, I'm going to mix it with my model of coaching and my model of bringing people together and the way I want to do it, and make it fun and creative and like really useful and valuable. And so I started just collecting people over time and say, hey, come and join this community. It's on the Circle platform. We revamped it. We made it just resourceful, useful. And if you think we can add things to it, make it better, let me know. And so my goal was, I'm not going to build a company. I'm going to build a community. And I just want to be able to like create like a main street of like, and a festival every week, and like what online, what does this look like? And then one day, God willing, I want to create something that is a real life thing, an event or whatever, or I can partner with somebody that can help me bring that through it, because it's not about me doing everything. Is that there's already incredible people doing, like yourself, right? Doing incredible stuff. So for me, it's like, well, if I could be valuable to Jake, maybe my work and my community could be valuable to Jake, and then I could be valuable to him, and his people can come to me for work, and we just share in this world, right? And so that thinking got me to where we are today. And that Rising Authors is really about this community of experts. We're usually like, the freelancers, the experts, the writers, the editors are hidden behind a company wall, which rightfully so, companies, that's how they work. That's fine. I just wanted a place where authors, potential authors, or people working on their books could just meet these people directly and go to them directly. And sometimes that works for people, and sometimes no, they want to go to a publisher or a hybrid, and that's totally fine. There is no right or wrong to how you do this. There's just a way to do this. And so this is my way of doing it. And it's not freaking brand new. I didn't reinvent the wheel or anything. I'm just gathering people online and putting them in a place where they can communicate. And then like today, we had my friend Ted who did a TEDx talk. I was like, hey, dude, come on and like tell us the steps, like how long did it take and like all this stuff. And so instead of just doing a podcast, which I'm revamping my own, I was like, let's just do these, micro master classes. So every Wednesday, we'll bring somebody like you in and share about their work and how they do something, and we can all learn from it. And that's been beautiful, man. It's been awesome. Such a great response. People are there. Dude, they're earning money. They're working with authors. Authors are finding exactly who they need, from designers to graphic artists to editors. I don't know anything about that, all of that other stuff, but I know I can bring people together. And so I leaned on my strengths, and I leaned on, what my remarkable mother and father have taught me, which build a community around yourself. You'll always be okay. And that has served. And now it's just a matter of growing more value. Like, all right, what does this community need? What does it look like to have a festival? What does it look like to celebrate each other and constantly celebrating, being optimistic and making it fun? And the author journey, whether it's before, during, or after, you need support. You need people around you. You need like just say, hey, I'm struggling today, or I'm posting about my progress, or I'm posting. You need to post about a place where people actually give a shit, right? And if we're all on the same boat, we tend to help each other up, man. And that's what Rising Authors has come to be.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. So as we kind of wrap up here, how do we learn more about you? How do we work with you? How do we find Rising Authors? Where do we go? Give us the links, give us the goods, and tell us where we can get more info.
Yeah, really simple. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Hussein Al-Baiaty. You can just search me up. You can go to HusseinAlBaiaty.com. That take you straight to my website, and you can find all that stuff there. The Rising Author community right now is a private community, so you just need a link to sign up. I think I've sent you that. So if you are interested in joining and just exploring, learning from other people, if you just need a community around you while you write your book, even if you have a public, like no one's going to solicit you, even if you have a publishing deal, that's fantastic. Just come here and kind of stay warmed up, and I'll be more than happy to send that link for you to sign up with. Right now, my whole thing is I don't want just everybody joining and whatever, I'm trying to control the waves so that the people who are there, all the experts and all that stuff, aren't overwhelmed. But yeah, over time we'll grow it and we'll keep it opening up as we go. Full transparency, I do want to create a subscription base. So maybe it'll be $20 a month or something down the line. But right now, man, it's good. Like it's free for everyone to be there. And I think it's good, and I think is very, very valuable. And I just want to keep the private essence to it, in that not everybody joins and then it's just a freebie and free for all, right? It's more like, let's be real. Do you really want to be here? You have to sign up and join and be a part of this community. So that's it. If you're interested, I can send you a link. The best way to get a hold of me, I always tell people, just look me up on LinkedIn.
There we go. And we'll get all that linked up. But my man, this has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate coming on the show, sharing your knowledge with us. Definitely some good takeaways. Definitely some things people can implement right after this. And for everyone that's listened today, I want you to kind of think about, where are you at in your book journey? Where are you at in your author brand journey? Do you know who your book's for? Do you know what you want to do on the back end? Do you know where you're trying to go? Do you have the steps in place? Are you adding value through your content? Is your website optimized, right? Like, think about those things, do an evaluation, and then reach out to Hussein if you want some additional help. Like, he'll take care of you. This is what he does. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this episode, give Hussein a shout on LinkedIn. Let us know that you enjoyed it. And, I appreciate every single one of you took the time to listen to this today. Your time's valuable, our time's valuable, and the fact that we got to spend it together means the world. So with that being said, I will see you all on the next one.